understand how the quitter is that old and trying to fight somebody that young. For what? Cause she getting a belt? Couldn't take the heat. And I'm glad y'all booed her. I made a video before the game. And I'm saying, please boo her. And y'all did. Thank you. It was appreciated. I feel like y'all should have booed a little harder. But y'all still got the job done. And then we got in their head. They wanted to fight. Then you had AT finna get whooped by Sophie. Little Sophie was finna whoop Dewana. We know Dewana ain't got him. So we was already finna leave out of that. They had to get MHA up out of her because she was finna lay this.
And that laugh, that calm, unbothered reaction from Sophie Cunningham in the middle of a tense exchange, has become one of the most discussed parts of this entire sequence. Not because it suggested arrogance, but because of what it appeared to communicate: control. A sense of composure in a moment where emotions were running high. It read, to many viewers, like the response of a player who understands exactly how far she is willing to let things go, and how quickly she is prepared to step in when they cross a line. In that framing, Cunningham's reaction wasn't about escalating anything. It was about setting a tone. A reminder that she is comfortable in physical, high-pressure situations and unshaken by confrontation. For some fans, that kind of presence is exactly what they imagine helps stabilize moments like this, someone willing to absorb the energy of the situation without letting it spiral further. From there, the conversation quickly expands beyond a single possession. Dewana is a veteran with a long-established career and a reputation built over years of high-level competition. Within that context, her intensity and physical competitiveness are not new, they are part of how she has always played the game. At the same time, the way fans interpret specific matchups has become increasingly shaped by the broader spotlight surrounding every Indiana Fever game. That is where the narrative begins to split. Some viewers see a series of isolated, competitive moments that naturally occur in physical basketball. Others connect those moments across seasons and games and begin to view them as part of a larger rivalry storyline involving Caitlin Clark. When those interpretations are layered together, the 2024 postseason exchanges, the sideline emotions in 2025, and the intensity of recent fourth-quarter possessions, it becomes easy for fans to construct a pattern. But whether that pattern reflects intent, rivalry, or simply the natural friction of elite competition is far less clear from the inside of the game than it appears from the outside. What is clear is that the attention surrounding these matchups magnifies everything. Every physical possession, every reaction, and every brief exchange gets replayed, reinterpreted, and assigned meaning beyond the moment itself.
Dewana Bonner want to point her finger in people's faces, thinking she's tough. Look at this, she want to point in Sophie's face. Yeah, Sophie ain't going for none of that. Sophie ain't going for none of that. We can have a point off. We can have a point off. Ain't nobody scared of your scrawny ass. We can have a point off. What you talking about? Look at this.
A 17-year veteran that does not want to play a team that has 5 wins.
Yeah, we pointing right back at you. You ain't gonna do nothing. We pointing right back at you. We pointing right back at you. You can't play. You suck. You need to retire. You're 98 and a half.
When considering Dewana Bonner's brief time with the Indiana Fever in 2025, it is important to understand the environment she walked into. By that point, Caitlin Clark was already firmly established as the center of the franchise's identity. The attention surrounding Indiana was unprecedented, crowds arriving primarily to see Clark, national broadcasts built around her games, record-breaking viewership, and a level of media focus that reshaped how the entire team was perceived. In practical terms, the franchise's public identity had already formed around her. For a veteran like Bonner, who spent years as one of the league's most accomplished and respected players, entering that kind of environment represented a significant adjustment. Experienced players often adapt by embracing defined roles, contributing within a system, and focusing on team success rather than individual spotlight. That is a normal part of competing on different rosters throughout a long career. Still, there is a psychological dimension to joining a team where the cultural center has already been clearly established. When a player accustomed to being a primary presence in the league steps into a setting where another athlete is the focal point of attention, the adjustment is not only tactical. It is also emotional and social. It involves redefining status, rhythm, and expectations within the group. Whether that adjustment fully settles in the short time Borna spent in Indiana is something only those inside the locker room could truly assess. From the outside, fans can only interpret body language, game moments, and limited glimpses of interaction. What can be said more broadly is that professional environments built around a singular star often require every other player to calibrate their role to that reality. Some adapt seamlessly. Others take time. And sometimes, even after the roster changes, the impressions formed during that period linger in how fans later interpret on-court interactions.
Jay got ejected. She
Connecticut
got
Mystics days.
and got thrown out of the game right here. Alyssa Thomas was driving in. MHA said, "We are not having it. I'm not having it." Well, she was not having it right off the court.
Sophie Cunningham stepped in first, and the situation quickly escalated as more players joined the exchange. Alyssa Thomas came into the confrontation from Phoenix, while Myisha Hines-Allen entered from the Indiana side. What started as a heated one-on-one moment turned into a full on-court scrum, with officials rushing in to separate everyone and regain control. Technical fouls were handed out as emotions stayed high. Both Thomas and Hines-Allen were assessed double technicals during the sequence, and the situation continued to spiral. Hines-Allen was ultimately ejected after picking up her second technical foul following additional contact during the altercation. In the end, what began as a physical possession between a few players turned into a full-team confrontation that required multiple stoppages and heavy officiating intervention to settle.
Man, that first quarter was ugly. Shout out to Caitlin coming in that second quarter and just looking like a star, dog. Just straight up putting the team on her back and dominating. Shout out to Caitlin. MVP tonight, man. MVP tonight, Caitlin. I see you, baby. I see you. Didn't shoot that well from the three, but 8 for 17 from the field, 24 points. Come on, dog. 3 boards, 9 assists with 3 TOs. She was throwing that thing, baby. Throwing that thing. I want her to start getting those double-doubles, man. I know for a fact she can get like 12 assists a night, man. We just got knocked down with shots, but great job.
Caitlin Clark finished the game with 24 points and 9 assists, and the Indiana Fever secured an 86-77 win. Despite the intensity, the technical fouls, and the heated exchanges throughout the fourth quarter, none of the chaos translated into momentum for Phoenix. The Mercury left the game shorthanded after multiple ejections and unable to close the gap on the scoreboard. In the end, the outcome came down to execution. Indiana stayed composed when it mattered, and Clark delivered at a high level in a tightly contested game. The Fever made the plays they needed down the stretch, while the emotional swings of the game ultimately had no impact on the final result. Within that context, the role of Sophie Cunningham stood out to many observers. She has not positioned herself as a passive role player in Indiana's system. Instead, she has embraced a physical, competitive identity and consistently shown willingness to step into high-pressure moments alongside her teammates. From the start of her time with the Fever, Cunningham has appeared fully committed to the group's direction and its central players. Rather than treating those moments as optional or situational, she has leaned into them when games become emotional and physical, exactly the kind of environment where team identity is tested most clearly.
Caitlin Clark finished the game with 24 points, 9 assists with a plus 13. Caitlin Clark played a good game. Can't really say anything negative about Caitlin Clark's game today. When she did it Stephanie White's way, When she did it her way, oh, the offense was moving. What a coincidence. What a coinky dink. When you do it Caitlin Clark's way, the team don't look too bad.
Caitlin Clark has become one of the most influential figures in women's basketball, not just because of her on-court performance, but because of the attention her presence brings to the league. The surge in viewership, sold-out arenas, increased media coverage, and growing commercial interest have all been widely linked to her arrival and impact. Her games consistently draw large audiences, and she has played a major role in expanding the visibility of the WNBA. Within that context, some fans argue that the responsibility around her extends beyond normal team dynamics. They believe the environment surrounding Clark carries added weight because of the spotlight she brings to every possession and every game. From that perspective, teammates like Sophie Cunningham are seen as part of a broader support structure, players who understand the scale of attention and the emotional intensity that follows Clark's every touch on the floor. Cunningham, having joined the Fever environment and experienced it firsthand, has been viewed by some observers as someone who recognizes both the opportunity and the pressure that comes with that level of visibility. Still, even with that level of impact, the game itself remains rooted in execution, roles, and team structure. Star power can elevate attention, but outcomes are still determined by how well a team functions together on the court when the pressure is highest.
It's hilarious. This woman is so fun. That's what makes his team fun, is because of her, because she is brave and she stuck up for her teammate, and so did Hines Allen. Hines Allen was barking little bits, and she actually got kicked out the game because she's trying to shove Alyssa Thomas. Like, hey, you can't do that around here. I appreciate that, Hines Allen. You gotta give some credit to her. But man, this was hilarious. But I feel like we needed this as fans, bro. The last few games were rough. But man, it just felt good to laugh, have a good time, and I'm just glad DeWanna Bonner got put in her place. She missed her free throws. She's mad because she's on a bad basketball team. She thought, oh, I'm just going to run to Phoenix and everything's going to be good again. Nope. Your team has only got 5 wins. You could have stayed with the Fever, but you ran away because you didn't like the fact that Lexi Hall took your spot. You got benched, and now you're all. I'm still mad and petty, man. Nobody missed you, bro. Nobody.
Sophie Cunningham's actions on Monday night, as described by fans, have been interpreted by some as going beyond simple teammate support. In that view, it wasn't just about protecting a teammate in the moment. It was seen as a signal about how this Indiana Fever group responds when things become physical and emotional on the court. Caitlin Clark continues to be the focal point of opposing game plans and defensive attention, but she also delivered on the scoreboard, finishing with 24 points and 9 assists in a strong performance. From that perspective, she remains capable of handling high-pressure situations through her own production. At the same time, Cunningham's presence has been highlighted by some observers as an added layer of toughness and energy for Indiana. Her willingness to step into tense moments has been interpreted as part of a broader team identity, one that doesn't back down when games become physical or emotional. Whether viewed as leadership, intensity, or simple competitive fire, the moment has added to an already crowded narrative around Indiana's season. And in a league where attention is amplified with every high-profile matchup, even brief confrontations quickly become part of a much larger story about how this team is perceived and how it responds under pressure.